Hey guys, how you doing? Bobby Bryant here, founder and CEO of hōmhub. Guys, this is number five. I've been working on a series talking about why it's been almost impossible historically, it seems, to disrupt the real estate industry. Guys, I break this stuff down based on my purview. Um, uh, one through four, and of course you're watching this now, but based on my purview, I mean, it's been a journey and it's been an educational um, bloodbath, if you will. When you start talking about this space, as I said in video number one, man, I wonder if these guys were geniuses or fools in the way they created this in '08, in the way they built these layers, this fragmentation. And as they always say, time will tell. And I'm about to lean on the side that these guys were, unaware geniuses in regards to this fragmented, layered, bureaucratic system that we are operating in. You start talking about, as I said before, and that I'm going into my number five reason why I think that the real estate industry has, historically been challenged to disrupt such a prehistoric vertical, the greatest asset, in the country, in the world for that matter, being real estate. Why is it the only industry that's remaining unchanged, refusing to change? Nobody's been able to crack that nut, right? And truth be told, in a lot of ways, the last big disruptor was Zillow. And yet here's the crazy part. A lot of people are taking their head off like Zillow is the be all, like they're the holy grail. Guys, they're not. They're not. Not to mention, they have moats, but they also have some gaping issues. If the industry were to uprise and turn off their data to Zillow, Zillow has some huge problems. While a lot of people within the industry like to defer to them, I defer to them sometimes, right? But there's some much bigger opportunities out there. Zillow really just addresses the front of the life cycle of selling, buying a home, right? They don't address the rest of actually where the money really is throughout the transaction, the living of the home for the 8 to 12 years. Once you find your house and the property you want to rent, then other than being a nosy neighbor, you're only going back to check values. You're not going back like for probably a decade, right? You get the itch or whatever. Okay, great, cool. That doesn't convert into money, right? It's the reason why their revenues aren't for the eyeballs that they have. Their revenue is very anorexic in consideration. Yeah, I said it. And you believe it too. You know it too. It's just for some reason, everybody, well, what about Zillow? Like, how's this better than Zillow? Man, right? And I mean that. Like they own more real estate in people's heads and investors' heads. They own more real estate in your head than they actually physical real estate, right? And traction. I mean, other than views, what? Right? Case in point, let's say it to you this way. We have approximately 340 million people in the United States, right? About 70 to 80 million of those are kids under the age of 18, right? But you're going to tell me you got 250 million unique views a month? Doesn't make sense, do it? Granted, people are looking from other countries. Granted, but at the end of the day, we only got 140 million, approximately 140 million properties on the ground in the United States, and we only are pushing approximately 4 million houses a year for sale. Average, look it up. Don't take Bobby Bryant's word for that. Go look it up for yourself. I know my data. I know information. If it's one thing that you guys need to understand about me is I do my research, right? At the end of the day, only 4 million houses are selling, give or take, especially in the last few years. Before we started dealing with this interesting market, we hovered around 5.5 million houses. If we had a great year, we hit just a little bit over 6 million houses out of 140 million houses in the United States. 44 million properties in the United States are non-owner occupied investment properties. Right? So, with that being said, it's very interesting when you understand all the facts surrounding this industry, right? NAR wants to tell us about 8%. In their annual report, they want to say about 8% of all sales are for sale by owner. That has historically been the number I've seen for the last decade. You want to tell me that tech is getting better, sellers are becoming more independent, right? And you want to tell me that we're still stuck at 8%, although everything is improving because you sell membership. So you need the members to believe that. Guys, it's a lot to unravel. It's a lot to unravel, right? And my thing is question everything. Question everything, right? Like, it's difficult. I was raised that way, great father, great mom, and be respectful, but question everything, right? Now, let's go into the title, change. This is number 5. When we start talking about companies disrupting the issue with disrupting real estate, and really what we're talking about when it comes to the word change, I categorize it this way. When you create a company in this space and you're talking about evolving one's behavior, you're changing their behavior, disrupting their behavior. A lot of people have to really think that through, these innovators and startup founders. I had to think this through. I had to understand it from 4D understanding of it, right? Why should anybody change their behavior for what you're creating? What's in it for me? Because that's the new generation we're in. What's in it for me? Right. Also, the generation that we're in right now with these younger kids is what's the value, right? What's the what do you stand for? Right. When we think of change, I almost like to break it into 2 categories. You got catastrophic change and you got willful change. I'm going to say that again. You got catastrophic change and you got willful change. Most change or changes happen at the hand of a catastrophic event. Think about that. Zoom benefited from that. Catastrophic event. You can't go nowhere. You can't leave your house. Work from home. Blah. They took off. Most people in their life, I'm going to stop drinking. I just had a horrible accident, almost killed myself. I'm done with it. Catastrophic. Somebody dies. Somebody this, that, and the other. Most people change at the hands of a catastrophic event. Instant change. But man, willful change? That's something that companies have to think about. When you talking about being a prop tech startup and you don't understand your user, you don't understand people, you don't understand the generation that you're serving, right? And historically, prop tech companies were creating tech for realtors. See, you didn't even understand realtors and the nature of these guys, the facts, the stats of this industry. Case in point. We got 1.5 million realtors in the United States, right? We almost have another 1.5 million real estate agents. Yes, guys, if you didn't know, we have almost 3 million people in the United States that hold a real estate license. In the industry, NAR, the best thing that they could do is release multi-million-dollar commercials that pit realtors against real estate agents. Make sure that they're a realtor. Make sure, man, we got greater problems than that. and that's how you choose to spend your money, again, don't get me on my soapbox. It's the most amazing thing ever. Make sure that your realtor, everybody with a license, make sure that your realtor is a realtor. So we got inner beef. You think the consumer really understands the difference? You think they really understand that? They don't. So we spent 30 seconds pitting two people. Anyway, soapbox. I'm having a soapbox moment. So guys, what you've seen is companies that were creating this technology for realtors. But the issue is that they didn't take into account that's over 70% aren't even closing deals. They're broke. So how are they going to patronize you consistently? How is that going to happen? Because this is what's happening. Everybody and their mother was creating a CRM. And we already knew it, because the data is out here. If you want to know it beyond your idea, that 75% of realtors don't have a CRM. Why? I said, you know what? I got to go find this out. So I turned around and went and surveyed about 100 realtors. And I said, hey, what? Do you have a CRM? And if you don't, why? You know what the number one answer is? I can't afford it. Why? They ain't making no fucking money. They're not making money. So why was all these prop tech companies historically creating for an industry who can't even afford their product or service? Can't even afford it. So what ends up happening is this, and you can't even count the 1.5 million real estate agents. So we're just going to talk realtors, right? So now you're dealing with about 25%, maybe 30 of 1.5 million, right? Because we're just talking 70% who closed a goose egg. How many closed 1 to 3? How many closed 3 to 5? You see what I'm saying? You start breaking that down. Yeah, it gets pretty interesting. Nobody ever thinks of it like that. So now I'm over here dealing with this small group who can afford my product. But here's the problem. Everybody and their mama trying to sell to this group. Everybody and their mama trying to sell to this group. So you got this group over here who's making all the money. They're busy. They're out there trying to get it. And every other day, hello, Randy speaking. Hey, Randy, this thing, the other, my name is John Doe, and I'm trying to sell you my shit. And they're over here like, yo, man, I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make money. Bye. These guys already got their products. That's why they're winning. These guys already got their products. They got their systems in place. That's why they're already winning. So you're going to change that behavior. I got my systems in place. This works for me. You better come 5-10x better. And do they even have the time? Because these guys are busy. Like, these guys are the ones who's closing the majority, the minority, extreme minority in this business are the doers, and they're closing majority of the business. Do they even have time to stop to hear your sales pitch? Change. Willful change. Catastrophic change. Like, really, I think that's been an issue with advancing this industry, is that you got creators, startups were just creating for 1.5 million people. And not even all of those people, the majority, almost 3/4 of those people don't make money to even patronize your business. And then you got 30, 40 CRM companies, 30, 40 open house platforms. Yeah, that's disruptive. Right? So you got all these ideas, these micro, macro, whatever ideas that are trying to, it's amazing. Right? So then the other side of it is okay. I mean, it makes sense to me to go consumer direct. I know for us at hōmhub, it makes sense for me because there's more consumers to the tones of tens of hundreds of millions than it is producing real estate agents who are actually making money. So why don't we just go to the ocean and get out of a litty bitty man-made lake over here in the backyard? Let's go in the ocean. Yeah, I like those numbers. I like those chances. It's hard to convince realtors anyway. You get what you're paying for. I've been doing this for 30 years. All this negativity, can't show them nothing new. I saw people literally get excited about a goddamn fax. People get excited like Instagram was going to just disrupt, like somebody else's platform is going to, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like stuff is amazing to me to watch in this business. But when the average age of a realtor was almost 60 at one point, it's kind of easy for that demographic to get excited about some little simple new tool that pops up. And this may upset some people, but it's real. It's true. It's true. And then the kid over here, who's the client, is like, really? They didn't know how to open it. Like, guys, catastrophic, willful change. Catastrophic, willful change. Like, why should anybody leave and choose your platform over Zillow? Why should anybody leave and choose your platform over Airbnb? Why should anybody leave your platform, right, when there's something that was already there? What is it about your platform? And that's, guys, where prop tech, I don't know if they really and we like these technical founders. Let me tell you about these technical founders, guys. They're not people. They're not people. They're not. Why do you think that Steve Jobs needed Wozniak and vice versa? Steve was a salesman. He was a marketer. He understood people. He understood how to present. Wozniak didn't know how to do that. Just about the most wealthiest company on the planet. Somebody has to understand how to talk to the person that's going to use the technology. How do I break that down? Because I need to change their behavior. And I need this willful change to be successful. Right? I remember when we rolled out our previous company called DOS, and y'all heard me bring that up in video number 4. And I know I scared the shit out of people. Right? Don't pay 6%. Raw. This, that, and that. Price. That's what I led with. Scared the shit out of people. Until one of my mentors said, I think you're taking the wrong approach. Okay, cool. Talk to me. Well, you ever heard of Simon Sinek? Like, yeah. Matter of fact, didn't I give you that book? Yeah, start with why. Why haven't you started with why? The 6%. And all the stuff, other stuff that you're saying, that I'm noticing that you're saying, you're belting out the what's. Didn't mean you have this conversation about why. So why? If you want to change people's behavior, in the words of Simon Sinek, he said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if you want to change their behavior, you got to start with why. Wow. Okay. So people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And then so instead of belting out pricing, let me tell why we're belting out that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So give me your why, Bobby. Okay. Thought about it. So Bobby, why does hōmhub do this? You know what? Our objective is to make homeownership in America more affordable. That's a good why. Make homeownership in America more affordable. I can get behind that. Who can't get behind that? Look at what we're going through right now. Making homeownership in America more affordable. Who can't get behind that? Who would oppose that? Even the biggest critic, who would oppose that? Nobody. But how are you going to do that? And for you guys who watch Simon Sinek in the Golden Circle, it starts with why. He said that's the fuzziest part. And the great companies start with why, and then they go up to how, and then they end up at what, right? So yeah, making homeownership in America more affordable. Okay. How are you going to do that? I'm glad you asked. Then you answer how. And then you end with what, because what is the simplest thing? Guys, that's what sparks willful change. There's a psychological aspect to our offering that goes beyond the tech. The tech could be awesome, but you're not changing behaviors. Willful change, because you're not communicating to people to mobilize that change. You know, I remember being a kid, and again, guys, I've kind of been a lifelong nerd, and I remember I'm talking and I'm talking all proper, and daddy, this, that, and the other, school, let me tell you that. And then people ask questions. My dad would ask me a question, daddy, so here you go, and here's my answer, blah, 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 blah. And my father said, son, sit down for a second. Sit your ass down. Okay. All right. Okay. What? Okay. All right. You know what? You're a smart kid. Okay. You're a smart kid, but you talk like a goddamn rocket scientist, son. And what I need you to do is you also got to learn how to talk like a truck driver. Everybody can understand him, including the rocket scientist. See, the thing is if you talk like a rocket scientist, only other rocket scientists are going to understand you. That shit went over my head. My dad said it went over my head. It took me years to really understand what he meant by that. Therefore, check this out. Believe it or not, yours truly went and got a master's degree in special education. Bobby, you have a degree in special education? Well, first, let's be very clear. When you start talking about specialized education, you're talking about from learning disabilities up to gifted and talented. I needed to be able to articulate. My dad lit a fire in me. Yes, I have my first master's degree is in special education. My second master's degree is in education administration, to be a principal. I never became one, but I did teach kids for 5 years who had special needs. And guys, I had to learn how to talk to them. I had to understand how to simplify messages. I had to learn how to break it down. Range. So when we start talking about our messaging and change and willful change and understanding who your client is, what they want to hear, how they need to hear it in order to get them out of their way and in order for you to mobilize them to where you want them to go. Change, messaging, start with why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I actually believe that this has plagued a lot of prop tech startups. Not only that, but startups in general. And I just wanted to share. And hopefully this gave you some insight. Hopefully this makes you reflect on your idea if you're currently building something. Learn through my pain, brother. Learn through my pain, sister. But the reality of it is that we have to think about all of these things. Most of the people who are my friends who are building a startup, they only think about this part. And that tends to be just the tech. Guys, the tech alone, and even tech guys do this, have this problem. Like, the tech is not the be all. It's not the be all. The business aspect of it is just as important. It's just as important, because the tech ain't gonna make money by itself. Somebody, Steve Jobs, has to go out here and mobilize the idea and articulate it and get the vision in front of people. Ah, I get it now. I mean, how many seconds do you have to snatch somebody's attention? To understand that your creation, your solution is whatever times better than what's currently available, and why and how and what. Guys, change is more challenging than the development. The change is more challenging than the development, because you are asking people to disrupt their behavior from currently what they patronize. So what's your core values as a company? What do you believe as a founder? How much does your service cost? How does it make me feel? Right? All these things matter, and you have to think it through. There's a sickening amount of psychology, sociology, in people, and needs, and wants, and whys, and hows that have to be answered if you're going to evolve, right? Somebody's behavior willfully. Just want you guys to think about it. Hopefully this makes sense to you. Hopefully you've learned something. My name is Bobby Bryant. I'm the CEO and founder of hōmhub, and I'm checking out. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my 5 series videos.
hōmhub.